You can't get 40 artists or whatever working on something and have it be the same when it comes out the other end.
Let alone 80 artists.
Oh, 80 artists. Holy, is that how many there are?
That's the last number that Matt said. It might be 60, but I think with the developers, with operations, all of those people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Shrug.
Let's go. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Chaos Radio. This is the story of 80 artists from around the world experimenting in collective creation.
Over the next 8 weeks, we'll be pushing the limits of music, Web3, by creating 21,000 unique art pieces under the shared artist name, Chaos.
Join us as we witness this artist grow, fall, rise, and we hope, ultimately, thrive. We're calling our community of makers Camp Chaos. And here at Camp, we believe the most exciting part of this project is the making of it. So come join us backstage with Songcamp,
a little family of music and love in Web3.
Climb down into the pit orchestra while we rehearse for our final performance, making art as Chaos.
Will we be able to let go of our egos enough to truly own this work collectively? Can we survive off the promise of a future NFT drop?
Will we harness the power of chaos?
Or be consumed by chaos? I'm Yada.
And I'm LosA. Let's find out together.
How is Songcamp right now just exceeding your expectations when you originally began it?
I mean, at least from the exact pinpointed moment of starting it, in every single possible way.
Matthew Chaim is a singer, songwriter, and musician in the music and Web3 space. If you don't know of Matt yet, you probably will soon. This is Yada talking with Matt while walking his dog in Montreal.
And these other dogs are pretty good. All right. Bye to dog park. Come, Lucy. It started literally on a night where I was just, doing that thing of being so magnetically inspired and interested and curious about this whole new world. And I just off that energy and also off a little bit of weed, stood up this Discord and just called it Songcamp because I'd always had this name Songcamp ringing in my head.
And this was almost exactly a year ago.
But anyways, yeah, there were no plans. There were zero plans. And if anything, the next day in my sobriety, I felt like such an idiot because I sent it to 10 or 12 people through DMs and whatever. I was like, you should come to this Discord. And they're like, what is it? And I'm like, I don't know, just a place for musicians to come and try things and do things. And we're going to be not attached to any project, but just do stuff. And I was like, but inside, then I reread my comments the next day. I'm like, I'm such a loser. What am I doing? People are going to come in here and they're going to be expecting something and there's nothing here for them.
Oh,
wow. But it was just something pulled me to do it, I guess.
2 camps later and 2 successful fundraisers later, Songcamp is a pillar in the music and Web3 space, curating both songwriting camps mixed with Web3 hackathons.
These experiments are organized into camps. The first camp was Camp Genesis, which raised about $34,000 from 3 music NFTs. The second camp, Camp Electra, raised about $100,000 from a collection of music NFTs and experiences. And now we're entering the third camp, Camp Chaos. And some of the folks involved in the previous camps are coming along for the journey again, including another Canadian, Fran Miller.
Hi, I'm Fran, a musician in Toronto, PhD candidate in a music studies program in Toronto, touring musician. I'm also a composer, sometimes for contemporary dance stuff.
Fran was part of Camp Electra, Camp 2 of Songcamp, and is back on the ride as a leader at Camp Chaos.
So my role in Camp Chaos is I'm a guide, so hopefully helping facilitate a couple of bands, a couple song groups.
All right, let's take a pause here. So what is Fran talking about? Can you break it down for me, Yada?
So you and I have a film background. It's honestly kind of like we're running a production for a movie. Camp Chaos is broken down into 6 teams, or like on a movie set, they're called departments. Music, visual, developers, economics, operations, and lore, which is us.
Yeah, go team lore.
There's 12 bands and 3 alchemist teams all creating the soundscape and music of chaos. They're bringing in that vibes. And then the visual team are making the eye candy. They're the cover art for songs and helping us out here in lore and at Chaos Radio with beautiful images that you're looking at maybe right now and logos. And then the dev, econ, and ops team are essentially like the production coordinators of a film set, making it all happen behind the scenes. They're coordinating that money flow, communication flow, and Web3 NFT execution flow. And just to be clear, when I say NFT execution flow, I'm talking about the 21,000 unique art pieces we're making in camp.
So how is this camp going to run?
Camp is separated into 4 acts. The first act is order. The second act is disorder. Third act, entropy. And fourth act is rebirth.
Okay. And this is, how long is each act?
Each act is 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in total, it's 8 weeks.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So the people who are behind all this are the operations team. They've been kind of working on this whole project since the end of Elektra.
To be honest, for a group called Chaos, it's been pretty organized. Like there's not been a lot of that fly by the seat of your pants energy.
Fran gets it. Essentially, this operations team is making this whole space what it is. And one of the people behind that is Sarmad.
My name is Sarmad, or Sarmad in English, or Greydient, whatever one's easy for people. But yeah, I go by Gray a lot in Songcamp and camp in general. And I am a singer, music producer, songwriter, and also an operator in Songcamp. So I'll be helping out during Camp Chaos.
Sarmad is super organizational, which is so helpful for the Discord of Songcamp and also for just email flow and communication in general during this camp.
Not just focusing on like this music aspect. Like the music is one of the core pieces, but if you think about the project actually has 3 core components. There's the development aspect of it, there's the visual aspect of it, and then there's the songs. Without any of those 3 pieces, you don't have a full sort of NFT or a final piece that we're trying to deliver. And so I think each of those things are equally important. However, we have more like physical or human resources being put towards the music. And so that's where, for a lot of us in camp, at least the operators, like, our curators, our core team at Songcamp, we were thinking a lot more about the music.
It's not just music, though. Like, there's so much visual.
There's a whole team on that, too, working on creating art for all of these
21,000
pieces of artwork.
Like, the only way they can put that stuff out there is with the dev team.
And they, whatever they do is really cool. I don't even know. How do you explain a Liquid Splits dev?
We are gonna find out. Here, you heard it here first, folks. Liquid Splits. You might have not heard it here first, folks. But, I sure did.
But, for me, as sort of an operations person, I should have been thinking about all those things equally. And I kind of wasn't. And so, yeah, I need to give equal attention to all other areas, not just the songs, because I'm closer to that world by being a musician.
We have a lot of design power, so I'm trying to just keep things as spread as possible.
That's visual team steward Peace Node talking with his design team in a pre-camp meeting.
As far as basic traits that we're going to be doing, there's 3 acts and 12 scenes per act, because 12 groups will be producing 1 song every 2 weeks and then rotating.
And we started turning the dial up on these conversations this week. I think Peace was just kind of at one point being oh, we should have started having these conversations early. And I was like, yeah, I think I think the pre-camp should have been 2-3 weeks ago.
There is this one trait that we have that we've just been calling noise. And maybe it could be like treating images with like different levels of reticulation. But it'll be good to know what the devs are going to do and what they need from us.
However, if you think about it in perspective to, let's say, Genesis or maybe even Elektra, like we're still ahead of the curve. Like we're still doing a good job of managing these things and thinking about them before they start. So I think we'll be okay. I'm not too worried, but in a way I was kind of like, yeah, maybe 2 weeks ago, what we're talking about this week should have been discussed, because then would have given us like a week breathing room. And I think that's just like insight for everyone else to be like, yeah, build in buffers for shit, guys. Like,
I guess it is tough though. Like, how do you collaborate with so many people to like keep a digital group together like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all an experiment, which is great. Mm-hmm. And I guess with every creative project, the only way to learn and grow is to do it.
I mean, yeah, also, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? It takes time.
Talking about builders, one of the great builders of this camp has been our resident gardener, Mark Redito.
Hi, I'm Mark Redito. I live in Los Angeles. I am an ecosystem gardener over at Songcamp, and I am the Chaos music steward in Camp Chaos.
Here's Mark talking with the guides team in a pre-camp call.
Cool. So let's start with the what. What is Chaos Guides? I think this has been informed by a lot of our learnings from previous song camps, right? Like the core team was me, myself, Matthew, and Brian running the whole thing. And, it was good for a while, but at some point it felt like it was limiting, and it was also like narrowing. And so, part of our thinking was like, how about we distribute, sort of like a little bit of the facilitation towards people who have high context, who have gone through a Songcamp cohort, and is really trusted members of our community. And so that's how Chaos Guides emerged. So let me just touch on briefly why we're doing this. It's a space. This is a space for us to practice distributed leadership. We are all leaders here.
Yeah, it's kind of like creating an architecture for, working with big groups of people on a project. Kind of like my mind takes me back to the times I was in marching band, where you're literally marching to the same beat of like 100 other high school students with you.
Yeah. So I guess in this whole decentralized Web3 world, the human needs still matter to make it run in a way that's giving to the people involved, but also something that the audience would want to consume.
How does that happen? Mark went into this in that same meeting with the guides.
Number one is the UBI, which is like a base, Second would be exposure to chaos value flow. That means the back end of things, the money that we get from NFT sales, will be distributed. So within the exposure of NFTs, one is coordinate, and then the second one is a self-select sort of lightweight UBI or stipend.
All right, so what is he talking about? Explain to someone who doesn't know, what is coordinate? What is an NFT? What is UBI? How does this all relate back to Songcamp?
Oi, bro, same.
Yes. So what is an NFT? What are we making, right? That's the product that we're making?
Yes,
NFTs?
the product that we're making. It is the item that we can mint, and then somebody can get it. And then they own it. So essentially, how I understand NFTs is like a vinyl pressing of an album. This is how somebody in Songcamp actually explained it to me when I was first getting into it. And an artist owns the rights to that album, but then whoever buys and purchases that vinyl, that album, they are the only ones who own that physical copy. Yeah.
So it's like getting a rare Pokemon card in your Pokemon card collection. But then there was this other piece about UBI.
Right, UBI, Universal Basic Income.
It seems like maybe a stipend, but I think we should let Matt explain. This is him explaining the concept to another group of campers.
Starting point, base UBI. We thought a lot about this, and we said, okay, at first, we're all exposed to the back end of this project, right? We're all creating this big project. Hopefully it's going to do really great. We're all going to receive value from that. But also people are giving like good quality, valuable time towards this project. And it's risky. We don't know what's going to happen. This might get chaotic to the point where we all crash and burn. Hopefully not. Hopefully we had harmony and it goes amazing. But either way, we thought, okay, what if we actually provided a base UBI? What could that look like? We have designed it such that everyone in this camp will have access to receiving 0.3 ETH. If you opt into it, this will create a base layer for you of value to be able to like commit more the time you're putting into this project. And it also provides people who I know a bunch of people in here who are new to Ethereum and new to having a wallet, maybe don't even have a wallet set up yet, which we're going to help out on later this week. This will give you some ETH to actually be able to do things in the Ethereum ecosystem, including claim your split at the end of camp, pay the gas transaction to actually claim. So that's one part, the base UBI.
Gotcha. So it's like, let's say you got to get somewhere. They're like giving you gas money to get to the location so that you can start your Pokemon journey. I see. So, it's like Professor Oak giving you your first 6 Pokeballs to like, all right, now go.
I really love the Pokemon references. Start on your journey. It's making me think about my childhood.
Yeah, well, we're all okay. And then, so the last thing that I want to understand is, what is Coordinape?
I love Coordinape. It's such an awesome coordination tool. It's a Web3 application that helps a group of collaborators decide on how to pay each other and shower each other in love and appreciation. So with the UBI piece, we are self-selecting what value we should receive ourselves. But with Coordinape, we're deciding how much value to give each other. It's kind of like a gift-giving point system where you can say thank you to the team members who you notice doing a lot of work, essentially extending gratitude for their presence, time, and efforts. And those points can turn into real money. It's a deep dive, and we'll definitely be covering more on a future episode.
So that's how value flow is working now when we're talking about a week before camp. But of course, there are a bunch of creative humans working to create this value. And one thing we've been asking folks is what their biggest feeling has been now that camp is about to start. So here's Mark.
A little bit of anxiety because of the amount of interactions that I would have with people. Some of these conversations might also lead to an outcome that I don't want, i.e. conflicts.
So a gardener has to take care of the weeds so that all of the plants around that area will thrive. Mark is one of those people who, in his gardener position, really takes care and holds campers whenever there is moments of conflict that arise.
We can design all we want, but the variable there is people. And we, each one of us, have universes inside of us, And so you can't put them on buckets and be like, okay, cool, you guys work together. No, it doesn't operate like that, dude. Like there has to be intention on both parties. So like, okay, well, we're gonna work together.
So with any project involving potential money and real deadlines to hit as a collective, it can kind of add a lot of pressure and tension, right? I feel like money kind of makes everything a little more sensitive, especially when it's an experiment. We don't really know how the end's going to come out.
Yeah, Matt's been thinking about a lot of this as well.
Like, just because we're working on things that have, albeit arbitrary, but still like effective deadlines, and we want to hit and we want to like do things, the most important thing I think is like the human and like communication aspects of that. And those should always be put forth or put first.
So as we go along in Camp Chaos, we may encounter many creative differences, which definitely requires some mediation, arbitration, which is something that Mark already deals with, right?
Yeah, Mark's dealing with it. Oh,
I'm not too sure if I'm comfortable to say this and to be released in public, but I've already had those conversations. It is productive, generative conflict, I would say. I mean, most of us really shy away from conflict because it's so uncomfortable, you know. But it needs to be done.
Okay, well, that hits.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
I've just been on other side. You know, I've been on all the sides of creative projects, honestly. Working with creatives, being the creative, where one does not want to engage and talk through the conflict. I've also been that person. And then there's just walls that form. And like when the walls form in creative collaboration, it's like a stalemate.
It's like you can't really move forward on that creative project with your collaborator if you're not addressing the problem, right?
Exactly.
I have that anxiety because I want everything to be harmonious. But in reality, just because you've done X, it will become Y. No, it doesn't. Like humans, when you actually put humans in a container, there's always all these things. It's always unknown. You can't calculate their behavior, you know.
Yeah, X plus Y equals rainbows.
Like, yes.
Or fire.
Exactly.
One of the reasons why I love Songcamp so much, and it's because of how we have and how like the core team has handled conflict. Because what I have seen and witnessed and been able to like voice myself is a safe space to openly talk about conflict, to be heard, and to move forward in a way where everybody is listened to and affirmed. And I think that's something that like, it's scary, but it seems like you and the people of this org who are running it really hold this space of growth that comes from conflict, and how like it doesn't have to be scary.
To hold our community members with tenderness, grace, and care, especially when we're dealing with like conflicts, you know.
But I guess being the holder of that is hard.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Because it's like where there's the question of like, where do you put that energy?
When you are a creative, when you are an artist, like holding on to that kind of energy, I would imagine like prevents you from moving forward with your craft, you know?
Absolutely. And then slap on money. Slap on like if there's payment involved, it just makes the whole process way more emotional.
It's funny that way, like art and commerce, you know, the hand in hand.
Yeah. Why? Right? But I guess like, the only way, like that's why this all has to be so different. And like talking through conflict is great. Being transparent with money is great. You know, there doesn't have to be secrets. And I feel like money and art has been so secretive before. But in this space, it feels like that's completely different. And then also like we're all talking about the money involved in this project up front, which makes it wildly different as well, you know?
You feel like it kind of makes you feel like you're being valued right off the bat, like giving that level of trust and transparency, to trust that you will create something beautiful and, you know, allowing you that part of your humanity. It's cool. It's very like, it's what makes this experiment, that's what makes this experiment so, I don't know, I want to know what happens next.
I've felt everything that I've felt in Web3 before Web3.
Yeah.
Juxtaposed over different situations.
That's our resident philosopher, Will.
My name is Will Juergens. I reside like an hour north of Pittsburgh. I produce, I sing, I write.
He's also a guide and member of the lore team at Camp Chaos.
like Web3 isn't unlocking a new layer of human emotions, you know?
Yeah.
We all have the same emotions we had before. It's just like different tools and a different framework for placing them.
To close out the initial Chaos Radio interviews, I drew tarot cards for each person. During Matt's reading, we drew White Witch, Be the Light, Winter, Take Care of Your Needs, and Protection Guardian, Drop Your Shields. For my interpretation, it seems like the way that Camp Chaos can, and everybody who's in it, can find harmony is by trusting themselves, by like holding space for independent emotions that happen and pop up, but also like if needed, like hold space for the feelings of others as well. Finding a balance and continually like connecting back to like we're all doing this together because we believe in each other and we believe in ourselves. And just like, I guess, yeah, giving us each the space to just be authentic with who we are in the moment. And if we can allow that, then that will like guide the light in each of us to make something incredible.
I'm just so excited. Like the amount of intention that's like at the front end, at the foundation of what the experience we're about to undertake, like it's so very strong. And boy, oh boy, I have no idea what to expect, but I'm so excited. I'm grateful to get to be a part of it.
Songcamp seems like such a lovely, welcoming place. I can totally see why you were drawn to it last year, and I'm stoked to be here. It's going to be so fun.
We are so stoked to have you here, LosA.
Camp Chaos!
This episode was brought to you by Songcamp and Eris, goddess of discord and chaos, Craigbot malfunctions, overly packed timelines, shamanic hallucinatory visuals, and great Web3 fun.
This episode was executive produced and edited by Levi Downey, production and story help from Julie Kwak and young Spielberg, co-produced and narrated by Yada Blooms and myself, mastered by Conor Dalton, theme music by Josh Libby, additional music by Matthew Chaim, Fran Miller, Greydient, Mark Redito, Jack in the Way, Levi Downey, and Will Juergens. And special thanks to Jeffrey Bassinger, Matthew Chaim, portal opener of Songcamp, and Papa Jams. And last but not least, listeners like you.
3, 2, 1.